The car's birth certificate is this imprinted vehicle identification number, or VIN, which is duplicated on the compliance plate.
You know, a piece of aluminium with a couple of rivets and a couple of numbers stamped into metal is not really what you'd consider acceptable for what is basically most people's second most valuable asset.
The end result was we seized several thousand exhibits over the course of the investigation, which was trawling through those is a massive process and very time-consuming.
All the histories of those vehicles need to be gathered. All of the evidence for those particular vehicles need to be gathered. We need a lot of experts involved to say that this part belonged to another car, or information from the manufacturer that this car was built in such a way and it didn't come with this engine. So it tends to be very, very complex.
Historically, we've had problems, and the problem is always with identification. If you can't prove to a criminal standard that the vehicle is stolen, well, you don't have a prosecution.
There were cars, there were car parts, cars in various states of disassembly. There were, in some instances, boats, jet skis, a whole range of different goods, but in the main, a lot of car parts.
A lot of parts, primarily the major parts, are marked with either serial numbers or even the VIN number.
Here we see a car which appears to have been stolen for spare parts alone, the sum of which often exceed the purchase price of the vehicle. A range of measures, in particular improved vehicle security, has significantly lowered car theft rates in the last 5 years. Many of the important reforms that are occurring are being driven more by the market. Companies such as Holden Special Vehicles, a special target of criminals, have been investing more in security.
We were very conscious of increasing insurance premiums, and we wanted to introduce a technology that would make it easier for our customers to purchase our products and cut the cost of ownership. And when we launched this new technology, we certainly found insurance premiums were reducing, and the technology for us has resulted in a 60% reduction in the unrecovered car theft for HSV.
One weapon to blast a large hole in the business of car theft is this tiny microdot. Within each is engraved 10 times the vehicle identification number. Developed by a former Australian insurance broker, these telltale microdots are now being sprayed not just all over the car, but all over the world.
When you start spraying 10,000 these tiny little 1mm dots on the underbody of a car, and remember, we're putting them into the chassis, we're putting them into the boot, they're on the wheels, the brakes, the springs. It's just impossible.
Beyond Holden Special Vehicles, other manufacturers such as Ford Performance Vehicles, Porsche, BMW and Subaru have become equally besotted by the dot.
The Performance WRX Subaru, that did have a significant theft problem leading up until the start of 2003, and Subaru, to their credit, put in a keypad immobiliser, so even if someone stole the keys to the vehicle, which is becoming more common, they couldn't start the car. But also to stop the professionals simply picking the car up or using threats of violence to steal the car, they've applied microdot identification. We've seen a 92% drop in the rate of stolen WRXs, almost to the point where current models, it's rare to have one stolen.
With the manual application, it takes 7 to 8 minutes per motor vehicle, and that's no good for a company like General Motors or a Ford or a Toyota. Their cars are rolling off the production line every 40 or 50 seconds.
Funding for the development of a robotic applicator that would do the job in 40 seconds has now been found.
It has been a technical solution that we haven't had the answer to until just recently.